What's going on, everybody? This is Lester from Cannabis Wiki. Welcome to We Talks, where we talk to people inside the cannabis community and the industry to find out who they are and what they're up to now. Today, we're going to look inside of C45 Quality Summit 2020 Digital. This will be taking place September 14th through 16th, which is Monday to Wednesday, starting at 9 a.m., running until 4 p.m. each day. C45 Quality Summit. What is it exactly? Well, focus on the challenges of quality assurance in the Canadian cannabis industry. Also, it starts the conversation or the discussion on a global cannabis standard and how Canada, which is the leader in standards and the only G7 country legally producing and selling cannabis. So today, my special guest, which I've met once before in person at Lift & Co. back in January, he is known as the Cannabis Sommelier. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrew Freedman. Andrew, what's poppin', my man?
Hey, Lester, thanks for having me. It's a great Sunday. I mentioned it earlier, just still on a high from the Raptors, tying the series back up with the Celtics. I'm a huge basketball fan, so absolutely loving watching basketball in September in my backyard. It's wonderful.
Totally, totally. So even I'm going to take a second on that to watch that. So how do you feel about watching sports and playoffs without the fans?
Uh, it's a different experience. I am a huge fan. Like, I'm a passionate fan for every sport. I'm that guy that you might not want to be in public with because I'm so emblazoned and impassioned with my team. But I think it's a cool atmosphere for these guys. When I look at it, it's really relatable to like a tournament when I was a kid and only having a few people watching, but the pressure's really on because your peers are really the ones that are watching you the closest. So you get to see the game in a whole different atmosphere. The rate of play is fantastic, and you really get to see how the games are forming because they have so little rest, so little travel. You're seeing everybody play at their peak, and it's just it's wonderful. You know, even that OG shot. I don't know if it would have been the same shot had there been fans sitting on the sideline screaming at that moment.
Right? Crazy.
Yeah,
It was
so
totally crazy.
it's the evolution, right? As we talk about having a virtual summit, we meet virtually here. I think this whole landscape is developing, and seeing how large industries like professional sports are pivoting to acclimate the best is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. So let's get to the meat of this. So tell us a little bit about Andrew Freedman and the part you're playing for the upcoming C45 Quality Summit 2020 Digital.
Wonderful. So, as Lester mentioned, my name's Andrew Freedman. I'm known as the Cannabis Sommelier. Professionally, my roles are as Director of Retail Development for Original Goods Cannabis. We're a group of cannabis dispensaries in Alberta. Also, as the CMO for Hash Labs, I host a wonderful YouTube channel called the Cannabis Sommelier, where I teach cannabis and wine pairings, cannabis and craft beer pairings, give cannabis reviews, cannabis edible reviews, and also teach cannabis cocktails is really what we're talking about today. There's a couple other great social things that I do, a podcast called Beers with Buds, amongst many other projects, like a book that you'll see next year. But for now, we're going to focus on cannabis cocktails. And so really my involvement with the C45 Summit is just to show the evolution of what cannabis beverages can be and how we can really incorporate a quality standard of this beverage into service and into the creation of these beverages. So using some really cool new products supplied by T God, we're going to talk about nano emulsification and just why standardization and dosing, maybe should be done by a Red Seal chef or a bartender who is already licensed to serve you an intoxicant. So, yeah.
Right. That's putting a fine tune on it. You've got a lot on your plate going on, my friend.
Yeah, it's a busy life, but I'm stoked. If cannabis hadn't become legalized and I hadn't seen the foresight, it never would have happened like this. I'm just so happy that I get to be a business person in cannabis.
Agreed. I myself, like you, I do enjoy the atmosphere of the legal side of cannabis, and I definitely enjoy the craft side of cannabis. So, being a cannabis sommelier, what challenges are there to face?
Oh man, the absolute biggest one, and I think that's one of the hills we're climbing with the summit room that I'm going to be doing at the C45 summit is just that I'm the cannabis sommelier. Sommelier means a wine steward. I teach people how to pair cannabis and wine, and using the bridge of alcohol really is a controversial subject, especially with Health Canada's laws, everything. Really even advertising. I don't have the ability to advertise because of cannabis and sommelier in my name. So those are big hills to climb. And one of the reasons why we're doing the cannabis cocktail, non-alcoholic cannabis infused cocktail class is really just to show people what the evolution of craft beverages can be without actually bringing the two intoxicants together and maybe bringing the stigma of both sides together. Because really what we're trying to do is build a bridge so that cannabis can be normalized, and that's why I'm the cannabis sommelier. I'm trying to use that vocabulary and vernacular of wine and the connoisseurship and the collectorship to make it more relatable to people as cannabis becomes normalized in our society.
I like that. Well said. I see, like your work ethic is definitely on point. You put the fine touch. I guess that is why you are a sommelier, because the importance that that means to the wine world definitely is the fine eye that we need in the cannabis world. So, being the cannabis sommelier, is that a global standard?
It should be. It will be. Um, that's what I've tried to create for myself. Thank you for the great compliments. As this becomes a global industry, it's really interesting to me that I have realized now that I am an actual pioneer, and the things that I'm pontificating about are really going to be looked back and studied. As this global market emerges, I would want nothing less than for what I've created to become standard. My systematic methods to tasting, which is a scientific method from top to bottom on how we rate cannabis, and then even my 100-point scale for grading cannabis, which is proprietary. We're already working on seeing that roll out in a couple places, especially as we see America transition. I've had some really interesting conversations about just the reality of what kind of literature needs to be produced about cannabis. Again, so we can be in the same realm as wine. If it wasn't for those drunken monks sitting around and writing about what they had learned, we would have nothing to study today. So, yeah, I'd love to be the global standard, and I'd love to write it down.
Well, I can see it in the future, especially with the importance of this C45 and the fact that assurance and quality is on point. Um, what are some of the hurdles inside of the cannabis industry to do with the assurance and the quality?
Oh, I can't even. Let's talk about the LP side because, as I mentioned, I'm quite involved in most facets of cannabis. But QA is a really interesting world, and especially your specific quality assurance person, your QAP. Every single license needs this QAP. And when we look at what the landscape of legal cannabis is today, and some of the comments that have been made around legal cannabis, the QAP is kind of one of the big people to blame, right? They were supposed to assure the quality and the standardization of what the cannabis was supposed to be coming to market for the specific company's expectations. And so, where we've really faltered is having cannabis people as those QAPs. Unfortunately, there's a lot of uh, university learning and paper learning that had to go into it. But sometimes consumer packaged goods aren't as simple as what they seem on the outside. So, what I'm really excited about, and what I'm excited about with the C45 Summit, is just the reality that there's real cannabis people getting back into those QA roles and becoming QA techs in these different facilities. We're seeing a much better standard of cannabis start to evolve and roll out. I do think there are some issues with the value proposition market that's being introduced into retail, but there's also some amazing standards in the premium eighth category. And as we see these prices plummet, everything's starting to line back up in the quality that people expect as they transition from that illicit market into this legal one.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, and I definitely want to mention it now. You have like over 20 years of experience you're bringing into this industry. Correct.
10. I wish I was a little bit older. The mustache makes me look a little older. But I have been doing this for, on a professional scale, commercial scale, about 11 years now. And I'm just lucky that I had the foresight to start looking at wine as an accreditation, to lead me in the direction where I could become an entrepreneur, pre-legalization and post-legalization.
So how important is it out with beverages and edibles, and especially on the beverage side? I
Mhm.
haven't really been able to talk to anybody about the beverage side. So what would be some of the highlights that you would like to point out about the beverage side?
Beverages are a very interesting category. It's an extremely quickly evolving category. The one that I'm going to be talking about mainly at the C45 Summit is a beverage addition. It's not actually a beverage, but it has a lot of the same scientific concepts in it that will apply to this conversation right now. So this is the Tea God Infuser, and this is a nano emulsified cornstarch. And so it's vegan and gluten free, sugar free, which is why I really like this product, because I can infuse absolutely anything with 10 milligrams. And now the nano emulsification is really where everything comes into play. There's a lot of discussions in the legal market where people are very upset with the actual dosage amount in these edibles, 10 milligrams being your max. But when you have a nano emulsified product, and when I speak about nano emulsification, I'm talking about making a nano sized particle with your cannabinoids so that it's much more easily received in your body. It's much more bioavailable. When we have this higher rate of bioavailability, we have a couple things happen. We have a quicker onset, 20 to 40 minutes with a nano emulsified product. And you also have a more intense effect. Claims have been 4 to 5 times what it would feel like with a gastrointestinal ingested edible. The other big thing too is that when we talk about dosing and we talk about a standard dose size, like we talk about alcohol being 1 beer, 1 wine, or an ounce and a half of hard spirit, we can really start to standardize what milligrams are and what can be an appropriate dosage in a dining setting, for example, where we know that we can serve 6 5 milligram edibles, and that might equate to 150 milligram gastrointestinal digestion of a decarb edible made at home. And now we have an actual intoxicating effect that is maybe more akin to alcohol intoxication, and have those replacement therapies in places where they might be needed or wanted.
Hmm. That's super interesting. I don't want to give everybody too much of the knowledge that you're ready to pass on, but what highlights would you like to tell everybody about the C45, about what time you're going to be there, when they can catch you? Give the people some information.
Yeah, so we're going to be leading into roll call, and that's on 420 on the 14th, I believe. If I'm wrong, I hope somebody corrects me in a link. But it'll be at 3:45 on September 14th. Don't know what day of the week that is. Again, I'm sorry, I'm a little busy. But the cool thing about it is we have some kick-ass sponsors. I put some great sponsors together, and so the cocktail box you're going to get is actually completely free. That's coming
Hmm.
from craftycocktails.com. They're a fantastic Canadian company. What they do is provide all of the pieces in a subscription box model to create amazing cocktails. And what you do is you go and buy a 2/6 of the booze, and that box will create all of the cocktails for you. But what we're going to learn is how to make it cannabis infused instead of alcohol infused, and how to make a fantastic tiki drink at home, a little twist on a Singapore sling. So go sign up for that, because that's a
Okay.
$30 value. And T God, I connected all the pieces, and T God hooked that up for free so that you guys can learn to make some kick ass cocktails. I think that's a big
That is
highlight.
sick. That is sick. That is
Yeah, so
sick.
you'll have to get in on
So,
that. You'll have to order yours this week.
oh, definitely. I'm definitely. You know what? I am feeling so bad. You invited me after Lyft to come check out an event that you were having, and I'm so regretting missing it, my friend. I'm so regretting
There'll
missing
be
it. So
many
when
more.
you do good, exactly. So when you are back around, I definitely want to partake. I love the knowledge that you bring to the table. You're such a nice guy. You're very polite, well liked by the community and the industry. Um, Give us some plugs. Let people know where they can find you. Your social, YouTube, everything. Let it fly.
Yeah, so I'm the Cannabis Sommelier. Sommelier is how you spell sommelier. I love saying it. Feel free to Google me. Check out all the different places, thecannabissom.com, my YouTube channel, the Cannabis Sommelier. I'm at the Cannabis Somm on every single social you could imagine. And again, give it a Google. Check out some of the articles that I've written, some of the articles I've been featured in, and really get a little bit more in depth with what I do if you're interested in it. I really appreciate you checking me out and spending your time, even listening to me today. So, to everybody watching, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for taking the time, Andrew. It's been fantastic, guys. This is the Cannabis Sommelier, Andrew Freedman. You heard where you could check him out. Go to YouTube. He's got a lot of information out there. He's written a lot of articles. He has a vast amount of knowledge, this young man, and he's very polite. You'll like him. So, guys, you can check him out at the C45 Quality Summit 2020 digital. That will be happening September 14th through the 16th. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Check Andrew Freedman. You can check us out on our Wellness Wiki app, Cannabis Wiki. Guys, keep it locked, stay tuned, help flatten the curve, wash your hands, and be nice to people.